Hello and welcome to another episode of the Electric Norwegian. I'm Mats. Today we're out in a BYD Dolphin. It's not the animal, it's a car. It's another compact hatchback, actually. But it's a decent one, and I must say I have enjoyed thoroughly the last BYDs I've been driving. But this might be the best one yet in some ways. It's not the biggest battery, it's 60.4 kilowatt hours, and it has a peak charge rate of 87 kilowatts, which isn't very much, but it's a small battery and it's a relatively flat charge curve if you have a hot enough battery, mind you. But it's not too bad. And it's priced at around 30,000 euros. So it's affordable. I just come out of the Volvo VX30 actually. I've driven these cars back to back, and there's price-wise very, very similar. Both have drawbacks, and I think this one actually might be a little bit quieter than the Volvo. Let's give it a thorough drive and see what we think of it in the end, shall we? Yeah, we're 55% and 216 kilometers indicated. So, like I said, it's supposed to do around 400. It's around 0 degrees today. It's another one just like it was out with the Volvo yesterday. It's another grey, cold, bitterly cold day. We had spring and 13 degrees here on Friday. It was wonderful. I had a few really nice spring days, and now it's proper winter back again. So, oh, right, that's closed. Okay, back up. That's one thing you notice. The two things that strike you with this car. One is the nice placement of the toggle switch on the gear selector. I like that bank of switches, and you can also turn on and off your climate control. You can't run temperature, but you can turn auto and fan speed at least, and that's the rest you can run with the screen. Or the suspension, it's fairly soft, but without being a boat. And then it's the turning circle. It's good, maybe not quite as good as the VW cars, but it's very good. It's a small car, mind you, still. It's fairly quiet in there. And as for the interior, I don't know if you've driven the Ep.250 3, you sort of recognize yourself in a way. I've driven a few of these BYDs now, and you sort of find some themes that runs through the design language, it seems. I can't remember exactly what is in what car now, but all the blue parts you see here in the interior are, apart from the plastics around the ventilations, everything else, it's padded softly and very nice materials to touch. The rest of the door cards are simple hard formed plastics or whatever it's called, but your touch surfaces are padded. That sort of means a lot. It lifts the impression quite a bit. There's of course some hard plastic surfaces around, like the black surround on the upper part of the center console here with the cup holders and stuff, and also the buttons here for the automatic. All of these are toggle switches, by the way, for the park brake and so on and so on. But it doesn't really feel cheap, so that's okay. And the buttons on the steering wheel have a nice tactile feel to them, and they don't feel cheap either, unlike in the Volvo where the whole touch surface was a little bit really, and it really dragged the car down a little bit. Here you have high quality plastics all over the place, and they're proper buttons, so you don't have any problems with that. The only thing is the fan speed is a little bit high, so right now I'm beginning to get a little bit cold because I turned the entire climate control off. And of course it's one of those Chinese cars where you can't really get any useful information when it comes to consumption, so that sort of goes out the window from the off, really. But it's fairly quiet in there. Maybe not quite as quiet as in the Leaf. I don't know. I just remember that the Leaf was really quiet, but I haven't driven on it in a while. I have to retest it because it's still on sale. It's considered new, with new car guarantees and all sorts of stuff. But one thing I also noticed, last time I was out in a BYD, that was the BYD Halden, the big saloon, and I absolutely adore that car to pieces. It's wonderful to drive, and I really enjoyed the sound system and the experience in it. Except for one thing, the ding dong of it, and the ding dong of everything. It was terrible, and also the cruise control and adaptive cruise and lane keep was just awful because it kept beeping at you and being really proper Chinese. This doesn't. It has a proper adaptive cruise, it has a proper system, it works, you can put it on, and it does its thing, and it doesn't ding at you. The only thing you hear the dinging is that's EU ding dong, as I call it. Well, I can live with the EU ding dong. In the Volvo I can turn it off. Maybe I can somewhere in the menu here. Let's see if we can get around. We should be able to get around the entire test route on 55%. Compare this thing to the for instance, some of the Stellantis products, like the Opel and the Peugeot and stuff. They've sort of been stuck in the same interior for years now, and they've updated it and it's become better. But this is far more. This is just better quality and more refined, and it feels like it's of high quality overall. And also the infotainment system, it's a bigger screen, it also has a camera in the front, by the way, so when you drive forwards, like slowly, for instance, this has the charge plug in the front, then it has a camera so you can see in front of the car, which is brilliant, really. Of course it has the same going backwards, and it's a big screen, this one, so it's nice. And also the infotainment system here is of a high quality around the Stellantis product. Properly executed, I think. Of course, they are coming now with newer cars, and I hope they get better. But I must say, I think BYD are onto something there with the way they put the car together and their philosophy of the interior, the materials, and the colors. It's fun to see something that's not just black on black, really, and also the exterior and interior colors sort of match. I don't know if it does that on all specs or not. I can't tell you. Space-wise, it's okay. In the front, there's plenty of space. There's nothing you really miss. The seats are comfortable. Even in the back, it's okay seat space for me. I'm 6 foot, whatever, almost 1 meter and 90 centimeters. So I can sit beside myself. Not for long journeys, but still, if I move the front seat a little bit, you sit nice and comfortable. The roof line is just brushing the hair, but that's fine. That's fine. So I'm sure you can get some luggage. It's not luggage for 4 kind of thing. It's a pretty deep storage in the boot, so it's not bad at all. But if you're 3 people, for instance, going on a vacation, then this is fine. I'm sure this is going to be fine. Sound system is good. This EU ding-donging is if you go below the speed limit and then you go above it again, it dings at you. But if you stay consistent a little bit above it, it won't bother you. It'll just ding once and then stop dinging. Of course, we've been through a town now, so the speed limits keep changing. It's windy today. Probably hear that, but it's not too bad. Some wind noise, but it's definitely not too bad. It's done a proper job here insulating the cabin. It's not too much road noise either. So yeah, and the car feels peppy and quick. Probably feels quicker than it is, like many EVs do, really. You have that initial launch, and then you can toss it into a corner and the car settles. It's relatively softly sprung, so it's not a sports car in any way. It's not a GTI, it's not a hot hatch, this one. But you can throw it around a little bit at least. feels like an old school car in that way, with a soft suspension and perfectly precise, perfectly okay steering. There's something wrong with it. It goes exactly where you tell it. It's just not a Dartiest, but it's not meant to be. This is supposed to be a hatchback for the occasional family or the elderly couple or single person or whatever. You don't need a rocket. You don't need a pocket rocket for that. I personally really enjoy the exterior color and also the interior turquoise, blue, green color of this one. I think it's nice. And it's sort of reminiscent. This is a dolphin after all, so it's kind of a sea creature, isn't it? It's not kind of, it is a sea creature. But yeah. Color might remind you of a lagoon or whatever. And the cap forward design works. The A-pillar is a little bit thick, very thick actually. You have the small windows in the front. It helps out that helps out a little bit. But of course, thick, big A-pillars is not something this unique. So I can say the same thing about my Model S or the Model X or a dozen other cars. The Peugeot van, for that matter. You get used to it. I do wish we found a solution at some point so we could slim them back down a little bit again. Not back to the 70s, because I want to survive a collision, but not quite as big and massive as they are here. Some noise in here. Most of that is wind noise, some of that tire noise, but it's not bad and it's not excessive. I should have checked the power figures. I haven't checked the power figures, but it doesn't really let down either. It continues above 100 kilometers, and you can easily, if you keep your foot planted, it keeps pulling. Don't know what the top speed is, but it's definitely more than what we need in this country for most of the time. So, yeah. We're at 37%, by the way. We've had indicated 136 kilometers. The range on this seems to fall predictably, at least so far. So I'm not worried about running out of power. I think we'll be fine. And also, when you change lanes like now, and then the lane keep picks up again. It's like in the Mercedes and other cars. So yeah, it is very pleasant, I must say. I'm not entirely certain how much of these systems are standard or not, but they're included in this car. It feels like a properly old school, well-made car with not too much modern gimmick stuff. But of course you have the big screen that can turn around, but you don't really use that gimmick very much. You find your orientation you want to have it in, and then it's done. You leave it there. And you also have a blind there you can close or open for the roof if you want the light in or not. And also maybe in the winter it might also keep the heat loss at a minimum if you close it. This is a car I can imagine going properly long distance with, because it's comfortable and it's not, the noise levels aren't excessive. The lane keep and the cruise control systems work brilliantly well, and it doesn't beep at you, it doesn't shout at you, it doesn't scream out and panic for every single little thing, unlike many other cars, including other BYDs, by the way. So they really got their stuff together there. So let's sum up this BYD Dolphin. If you're wondering why I'm not in the car, because the camera ran out of battery and I had to deliver the car and it's late and I've had a long day and it's, yeah. Anyway, the car done, if it had been fully charged, it had never been the entire day I had it today, I would imagine I would have been, you're able to do close to 300 kilometers in a day, like somewhere between maybe 27 to 300 kilometers on a day like today. 0 degrees, 200 degrees Celsius, dry roads but windy and really, really cold, like bitter, chilly, terrible, icy cold. And for about 30,000 euros, 35,000, whatever, thereabout, that's actually pretty good, considering 60 kilowatt hours of battery. So I'm sure, at least in Norway, on a bit slower roads, on a summer's day, I'm sure you can get closer to 400 out of that car, no problem. So it's a good value proposition in that sense. Space-wise, it's good. It's a small frunk in it, same as it was also in the Volvo. I honestly didn't check the frunk in the BYD, I forgot. But I talked to a friend of mine who had the car at the beginning of the weekend, and he said there was a small frunk in it, so you can store your cables. That's good. The ergonomics of the car are good. The quality feel of the buttons and the materials, mostly most of our touch surfaces are padded and covered in a decent surface. Some cheaper plastics are found in the car. Of course, it's an affordable car. The user interface of the BYD cars are reasonably good to use. I think once you get used to them, they're pretty okay. And if you put your radio, or at least your media surface up, it gives you a big picture of what you're listening to. And then you have a small sub-menu on the side. But all of those sub-menus, when you're on the ride, go away. So you just have one picture, and then you put the car in dark mode, and it's very pleasant in the evening and the night to drive around it. It's very little distraction. There's not too much going on. And then you have the small screen in front of you. Lights seem to be decent. I didn't have time to test them properly, but they seemed to be decent. If you are parents and have one kid, or maybe one bigger kid and one small kid. If you're 2 or 3 people with this car, you can, and they don't pack too much, you can easily go road tripping in it. If you're 2 people, it's not a problem at all. The range is good. The charge curve, with a cold battery, with any cold battery, of course, it's going to take longer time. But when I got to, I'd driven 155 kilometers or whatever, and I ended up with 3% and 8 kilometers left, so I was bailed out at a supercharger, and it took 82 kilowatt flat from 3% to 30, and that took around 15 minutes or something like that. So yeah, and then I drove another 40 kilometers, and I had 20%. I just was deliver the car, but I would just want to give it back with a little bit more range. So I plugged it in, and it took 87 kilowatt from 20 to 40, and that took around not very much time. At 40%, it seemed like it fell to a lower state of power with the 60 or 50 kilowatt, but I was finished by then, so it didn't really matter. I'll put the graphs here, you can see. So charge curve seems to be pretty flat and relatively quick, considering the battery size. I mean, it's 60 kilowatt, it isn't that much. Thank you to Mobility Halden for lending me the car, and I must say I'm pretty pleased with it. It's a good car. BYD, really, the ergonomics, the seats, just the general feel of the entire thing. It's a proper product. It's well worth your consideration if you want a hatchback. There you have it. Thanks for watching. Do like, comment, subscribe, all the usual stuff, and share the video. Take care, and I'll see you in another car. Bye bye.